where people may be ingesting, and other healthcare products. Among these, antibiotics and other chemicals that are persistent in the food supply. If you're buying your meat at Costco, or you're buying sort of the cheapy stuff at Safeway or wherever, most of those animals are pumped full of antibiotics, and their food is doused in pesticides to keep it nice and free of all the bad insects out there, I guess. I don't know. And dental amalgams are a source of inorganic mercury, which is a neurotoxin.
You mean fillings?
Yeah, amalgams, fillings. And lastly, water. We require 3 to 5 liters per day on average. Fluoride has been shown to cause dementia, but it keeps our teeth healthy, right? Yeah, I don't know about that. PCBs and dioxins are actually found in our water supply, not to mention pesticide and pharmaceutical residues. So when I say this, I'm talking about parts per million. So of course we're not, drinking a dose of oral contraceptive pill. However, there are estrogens in the water, and they're a very small amount. And all kinds of agricultural runoff and sewage that goes directly into our water. And Victoria just pumps all that stuff directly into the ocean, which is crazy. Okay, so we'll get into the physiology a little bit, so put on your science caps. There's essentially, there's lots of organs that are involved in detox, but I'm primarily going to talk about the liver, kidneys, and skin. So the most important are the liver, gallbladder, bowels. That's sort of the route that the liver detoxifies through. The liver can also detoxify chemicals and put them back into the bloodstream, where they are then eliminated by the kidneys, which is then eliminated through the urinary bladder. And also the skin is a route of detoxification. Some other important organs, the lymphatics aren't really an organ, but they're extremely important for detox, and our lungs are actually great at detoxing by way of getting out carbon dioxide and helping maintain the acid-base balance in our body. So I'll talk a little bit about the liver, because it's probably the most important and the most easily treated from a naturopathic perspective. Essentially, this is a really great picture of the liver. As you can see, the liver has 2 blood sources. The portal vein, which brings blood from the intestines. So everything that we eat goes through our intestines, and then the blood goes directly to the liver so that it can be detoxified. Great system, evolutionarily speaking. The second source is the fresh blood from the heart, so that's in the hepatic artery. So these 2 blood sources come into the liver, and then they go through the hepatocytes, which are the cells in the liver, and in those cells they undergo detox, phase 1 and phase 2, and then phase 3, which is elimination. So phase 1 is really important, but what's interesting about phase 1 is that it actually oxidizes the toxins. So what I mean by that, when I say oxidizing, it's making things literally more toxic. So part of the reason I don't like a lot of the cleanses that are out there is because a lot of them upregulate phase 1 detox, but then what happens if you can't get it out? You've all of a sudden got an increase in phase 1 detox, and you've got things that are actually more toxic than they were originally. And I think that's why a lot of people get healing crises, or like they're getting headaches or whatever when they're doing detoxes. Some people's skin flares up, all kinds of stuff. Important minerals for supporting phase 1 detox are vitamins B and C, and a whole variety of minerals: selenium, zinc, iron, and magnesium. Phase 2, which is arguably the more important part of detox, is the biotransformation phase. So this actually utilizes a bunch of antioxidants. The other reason I don't like many conventional detox programs is because they're almost devoid of protein. They typically tell people to drink water and lemon juice, or starve the body for however many days, and in attempts that this is going to actually do something. I really don't think it is, for the most part, because as you can see, our phase 2 actually requires these antioxidants, which are primarily glutathione, which is made up of a variety of amino acids. Amino acids come from the protein that we ingest primarily, and acetylcysteine, which is a converted amino acid, and alpha lipoic acid, which is a fatty acid, so which comes from fat. So after that it's been biotransformed and been made less toxic, we then eliminate it through phase 3. So the route of elimination is either through the bowels or the kidneys primarily. Okay, that was the liver. The hardest part. Kidneys are also very important for detox, and as you can see, they like to wear a little hat called the adrenal gland, which is our fight or flight gland. So urinary excretion, urine is technically an organic toxin. It contains urea and small amounts of ammonia, and this is essentially created from the breakdown of proteins that we're ingesting. There's other toxins in there too, and they're either organic or non-organic as well. And a good example would be caffeine, also aspirin, Tylenol, acetaminophen, is also excreted via the kidneys. So the important thing to realize is that in order for these toxins to be excreted effectively, they have to be made water soluble. That typically happens in the liver, like we were talking about before, the phase 1, phase 2 biotransformation. So if you want water soluble toxins, you got to get them out through the kidney, and they may require the help of the liver. Skin is also very important for detox. Sweat is an excellent source of detox, and funnily enough, it actually excretes almost the exact same products as our kidneys. That's why if you go into a yoga class where people are sweating a lot, sometimes it smells a little bit like ammonia at times. It's because of those waste products. I don't know if anybody's ever smelled the carpets in a Bikram yoga studio. I don't recommend it. It's horrible. And also a little interesting factoid is our skin is the largest organ by area and weight. With people who have impaired liver and kidney function, a lot of naturopathic doctors refer to this as stagnation. If you know anything about Chinese medicine, they also refer to this a sort of low-grade liver dysfunction as stagnation as well. Typically, if this is going on, the body is trying to get the toxins out still, so it resorts to other pathways, primarily the skin. I think that this is part of the reason why people who have slightly toxic livers are prone to skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, that sort of thing. Older people typically have a lot of brown spots that are actually, oddly enough, they're called liver spots. And I think a lot of these reasons that these things are depositing in the skin is because they're trying to get out through that pathway because of the sluggish functioning liver and kidneys. So this is a really important formula, and essentially this tells us what our toxic burden is. So it's really easy. It's essentially the total amount of toxins that are consumed minus the ability of the body to detoxify. But I guess determining either one of those things is kind of challenging, isn't it? So anyway, that's the formula. And as you can see, toxins come in, and then these are the required nutrients to biotransform them, and then they're eliminated from the body via the bowels and the kidneys as urine. I don't. I found it on the internet. I think I just typed in liver detox, and then it was one of the first images that came up on Google. But if anybody would like a copy of this PowerPoint, you can take my card and then send me an email, and then I'll fire it off to you. That's fine. Yeah, sure. Okay, so now we're going to get into the fat portion of the talk. Fat is adipose tissue. That's the sciencey word for it. And fat, as we all know, is a storage tissue. It's important to realize that it's storage not just for calories, but there's also other things that get stored in fat tissue, primarily fat-soluble toxins. As you can see, oil and water don't mix, so the science word for that is that fat is hydrophobic. So it doesn't like hydro, which is water. There's a variety of toxic chemicals in our environment, and many of these are lipophilic, so they love lipids, fats. Lipophilic and hydrophobic mean fat-seeking. So that's why a lot of these toxins which are hydrophobic have a propensity to be stored in our fatty tissue if they're not immediately dealt with. So it's important to recognize body composition whenever we're talking about detoxification. And body composition can be simplified into two major compartments. Essentially, it would be fat mass and lean body mass. Lean body mass also includes water. In my practice, I like to look at water storage a lot. I have a machine called the bioimpedance analysis, which helps me to assess how a person is storing water. I think that's very important because depending on where water is being stored, it might actually be an indication of not only severity, but location of toxicity. So it's something that I use a lot in my practice. and I'm going to talk about that more a little bit later.